Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are now live from Paris, France. First of all, I want to take a big thank you to all the teams in Newcastle and Montreal for making that amazing pre-show happen. Thank you to Real-Time Commanders 7 and Vadak for taking part in it. It was a wonderful show to watch. But now we are here to bring you live gameplay and, of course, more insights and discussion about what you can expect in Ghost Recon Wildlands Ghost War PvP. We're going to dive straight into it, and that means meeting our first 4 players. We invited 4 of the top players from the closed beta that took place a couple of weeks ago live here to the studio to play against some of our developers. So those 4 players will be joining me on stage in just a moment. They are Eroctic, Robo Mohawk, Nerf Blackbeard, and Crespa TV. Guys, please join me on the stage. Thank you very much. So we're going to learn a little bit more about these guys and find out exactly what it is that excites them about Ghost War. Krebsa, let's start with you a little bit. Tell the world who you are, where you come from, what you're excited about with Ghost War.
So my real name is Daniel, I'm Krebsa TV, and I'm a small streamer. I'm from Germany, and I'm probably today the man with the overview. I'm the artillery guy or the scout guy. We have a look.
All right, one of our support players too. Now moving on to this side, Eroctic, a little bit different playstyle from you, but let the world know who you are.
Well, hello, I'm Eroctic, aka Eroctic Gaming. I'm the content creator on the YouTube. I'm gonna also live stream the open beta Ghost War on the Twitch. Anyways, I'm like the number crunching guy. I am currently number crunching all the data, all the statistics in the Ghost Recon, so I'm gonna play with the AK-12, so yeah.
He's done all the numbers, he knows which gun does the work for him. We'll look forward to seeing that in a little bit. Moving back to this side, Mr. Robo Mohawk, please tell the world who it is you are.
I am Elliot, and I'm from Ontario, and I will be our tank. I like doing it extra thick in the battle, thick armor, right up in front.
Nice thing. Tank is a very powerful class, which you'll learn a little bit more about later. And finally, Nerf Blackbeard, please tell the world what it is we to expect from you today.
So my name is Daniel, I'm from Germany also. I'm gonna play the sniper role, try to sneak up, get some good shots, don't miss so many, I hope.
Yeah, hopefully so. We've got some interesting maps for sniper play coming later on. You guys, please take your seats, get ready for the game. You've got a big match coming up ahead. The developers are no easy match, I'll tell you that much. Don't forget, guys, if you want to get involved and win some of these prizes, we do have a lot to give to our guests here on stage, but you guys at home can win yourself a 511 backpack and a Ghost Recon Wildlands patch just by entering the raffle in chat with !raffle. The announcement for the winner of that will be announced later on in our community hangout with UB Amper. Now, let's meet our developers. Now, these guys have been playing for 2 straight days now. We've been here warming up, practicing, testing the build, so they've got a lot to prove. Let's bring them to the stage and see how it is they're going to perform. This is Jan, Bruno, Remy, and Bryce. Welcome, guys. Bruno, we're going to start with you. Please tell the world, one, who you are, what it is you do on the Ghost Recon team, and what we can expect to see from you later today.
Well, I'm Bruno. I'm a UI programmer working on Ghost War, and I'll be our tank, in the team, and I'll be a Nomad.
Nomad, yeah. So the developers are all playing under code names as well here, so we'll look out for the different ones as we play. Nomad starting with Bruno. Please, Jan, where are you playing under today? What's your role?
So hi everyone, I'm Jan, a French dev tester for the Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Wildlands project. Tonight I will be the support of the team and I will play as Holt.
Holt, there we go. So Holt and one more in there. We'll get that. Moving back over, Weaver, we know where you're going to be. I know where you're going to be. And we already talked about the power that snipers can play. So tell the world a little bit about your role with the Ghost Recon team.
Yeah, I'm proud to be here. I'm going to be a sniper for the team. I hope I will not miss my shots like Daniels. And yeah, I'm really proud to be here. I'm part of the Ghost Recon Wildlands development team as dev tester like Jan. And that's all.
Looking forward to prove it. We saw, as I said, him in the practice rounds. Weaver on that sniper rifle really made a mark. So if you can land the shots and keep it going, it's going to be an interesting one to watch. And finally, Bryce, please let the world know what you do.
So yeah, I'm Bryce. I am part of the capture team, and I'm gonna be the point man.
The point man, which is another big influential class. Guys, thank you very much for the quick interview. Please take your seats, get ready for the game. The guys there are already warming up and getting themselves good to go. Good luck in the upcoming match. Thank you very much. So, with that said, we have one final special guest to introduce them before we can move forward to our actual live gameplay. This is Lucian, one of the lead game designers here on Ghost Recon Wildlands. Lucian, thank you very much for joining me on the stage. Thank you. Some of you with an eagle eye may recognize this face from a couple of trailers, but if not, you'll soon know it very well by the end of the day. Lucian, please tell everyone what it is you do on a day-to-day basis and what it is you do for the Ghost Recon team.
Well, and to keep it simple and short, I lead a very talented design team back in Ubisoft Bucharest, Romania. And our job is to bring the creative vision to life.
Yeah, there is it. So we're going to hear a lot more from Lucian as the day goes on, more and more about the classes that you've heard little teasers on here from the players. But first of all, let's take a quick look at our first look trailer before we dive into our gameplay.
When we started working on the PvP mode for Ghost Recon Wildlands, we knew we wanted to create something different. A tense and thrilling game of tactical team play, taking co-op to the next level. Today, we are proud to reveal the first intel on the free upcoming PvP mode for Ghost Recon Wildlands, Ghost War. Our objective with Ghost War was to build upon the main game's elements of co-op team play and open tactical gameplay. Ghost War is a 4v4 team deathmatch experience where two teams of highly specialized combatants fight in wide open environments. You can choose among a variety of classes that you can upgrade with many different perks. Each class has a specific role to play with its own strengths and weaknesses. You and your team have to carefully design the best combination of playstyles to take down your opponents. Based on locations from the main game, the areas of conflict are wide and open and offer plenty of opportunities and threats. Through mountains, deserts, deep jungles or forests, the terrains, weathers and times of day will push you to adapt to the situation. In Ghost War, new game mechanics including a suppression system and sound markers will deepen the tactical options available to the player. All of these elements will make team play, communication and strategic skills more crucial than ever. In the middle of the battleground, your choices will have real consequences. Should you try to revive your friend or mark the enemy sniper? Will you risk giving away your position by shooting or lay down a trap near the recon antenna? And when you're the last man standing, will you have what it takes to find a way to prevail? We cannot wait for you to be able to try out the free Ghost War PvP mode for Ghost Recon Wildlands. Check out ghostrecon.com for more information on Ghost War, including more intel on the classes in the coming weeks. We're also beginning a series of beta tests to balance the game, so stay tuned. We look forward to seeing you on the battlefield later this summer.
Welcome back, guys. So you heard about the raffle earlier on. Don't forget, it's !raffle in chat if you want to enter, and you'll be announced, or the winners will be announced by UB Ampere in our community hangout after the show. This is one of the 511 backpacks that you could be winning with a very nice Wildlands patch on the front too. So if you want some of this, don't forget to enter at some point during the next 2 hours. Also, don't forget, the whole reason we are here and what we're showing off is Ghost War as an open beta. And if you want to play in that open beta, it starts on September 21st and runs through until the 25th. You can preload the game right now on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and on Uplay. So if you've got the internet, if you want to preload it in the background, get yourself ready to play, you can begin that right now. We, however, are going to begin our first game in just a moment. Lucian, what is Ghost War exactly? What are we about to watch these guys play?
Well, Chris, in short, Ghost War, what it is today is a tactical, round-based 4v4 team deathmatch mode. This is what Ghost War is today. What sets Ghost War apart is the fact that it relies on this mechanic of down and revive. So this is what makes this is central to the Ghost War experience, and that makes for really interesting games and really tight comebacks.
So we're going to look straight at map number 1 right now. We can get that underway with our developers and talk a little bit more about that game mode while it unfolds, because as you say, downing and reviving players is a big part of this.
Yep.
While the main objective of Ghost War is to be the last team standing, to be the last team alive, each round plays out differently depending on as and where your teammates start to die, because those bodies then become objectives. Reviving them, keeping them alive becomes a point for contention as the fight goes on. Our first map here is going to be Deforestation. It's a big map with a lot of foliage, but also a very different spawn location for each team. We see on the bottom of your screens at the moment the very high ground, dense foliage spawn for our Alpha team, and then down in the low ground on the top side of the map for Bravo team, it's a heavily dense, heavily fortified, or heavily foliage, heavy forested area, but on the low ground with a lot of dips and a lot of tree stumps and a lot of ditches to hide in, with then that compound in the middle. How does that shape the class selection, and how does that shape the way the round begins from here?
Well, since this is one of the largest maps, I think we're going to see some really interesting drone play. I already see that one of the guys, Nomad, who's that? Holt has picked up scout class, and that will help them determine the positions of the enemy early on in the game.
Yes, as we run down what our two team setups are, our community team are currently running a point man, an artillery, a sniper and a tank. We'll go more into exactly what each of those things mean as the round and the game progresses. And our developer team are running a scout instead of an artillery, but otherwise a point man, a tank and a sniper as well themselves. So similar lineup, but not quite exactly. What we just saw there was the first drone going up from our community team, the artillery drone, and immediately getting shot down by the developers. And now as the developer's scout drone goes up, we're also seeing that get shot at by our community team. So while these drones are very powerful and they can spot you, they can also be shot straight down. However, shooting them down obviously gives your position away. So you've got to decide whether you're just going to hide from them or straight shoot at them. As the first couple of engagements are going through, you can see explosions going off left, right and centre. The artillery drone is forcing some of these players, some of the developers, out of their initial cabin positions, out of their initial safe spots. And this is giving the community team a chance to reposition and manoeuvre while they know that their enemy are fleeing and hiding from these explosions. Blackbeard and Eroctic right now working as a twosome, pushing up through the left-hand flank as it is from their spawn. That sniper and point man combo, they've been using it in a very deadly fashion. Sniper is technically in one of the supportive roles, it's in the marksman group, but it's more utility based in most setups than the point man or the tank, which are there as the assaults, the killers. But the way the community guys have been using it, the way we've been seeing them play over this weekend, is using that point man to just cover the sniper and then having the sniper step up and land shots like that, picking off the first kill of the game as Midas will fall.
Yeah, and it's particularly important in this type of map, which is more open than the others. The sniper role will be more visible.
And as we saw them do it there, you can't revive your teammates as soon as they drop down. You've got to make sure you're clear and safe. Blackbeard gets the first kill, and it's a big wide open area. And as soon as they try and go for revive, Holt immediately sniped down as well, as Blackbeard is still covering the same spot. There's also, as you can see on the downed icon, it's a purple icon for the teammate instead of a blue downed icon because he's got severe wounds. That means it's going to take longer to get the revive going through. Yeah. But as it is, the community team are pushing in to try and clean everyone else up. Eroctic will fall, but we are left in a 4v1 situation as Robo Mohawk steps in to get the final kill and clean out the developer team quick and easy for round number 1 to go to the community players. We never really saw our dev team get a foothold in that game. They were pinned up on the top, they were pinned up in those compounds, they got the artillery down to push them out of it, and while they stepped back, the community team just pushed up either flank, surrounded them, and you saw Nerf Blackbeard landing 2 beautiful shots.
Yeah, they need to be more aggressive. I think this is what makes these teams really different. The community team is has a more aggressive playstyle than the developer team.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more confidence in their movement and confidence in their shots too. As we said before, every time you shoot, your position is going to be given away to some degree. So pulling the trigger and knowing when to and when not to is a big decision. But the way we've been seeing our community guys play in these tight pairings, in these groups, it means that first man to shoot is always very confident that if someone then opens fire on him or if someone is closer than he expected and is ready to take him out, his teammate's there to back him up and follow with him. The developers, on the other hand, are playing a much more cautious game, much more patient with their shots and are waiting for absolute pin-perfect timing to open fire, and that doesn't always come your way, and as you can see, they're falling down because of it. Now that we've switched to the other side, our community team are starting up on the high ground and our developers are down on the low ground. So this is switching up a little bit in their playstyle and a little bit in the operator or the class selection that we see from our community players. They've now swapped their tank out, brought an enforcer in instead. What does the enforcer do compared to the tank?
Well, to start with, there are classes in different class types. The tank is in the assault type, while the enforcer is in the marksman type. So that's the main difference that sets them apart. The tank has a bit more health as compared to other classes. He is the guy that can take the brunt of the damage. Also, his ability is to make himself visible while at the same time taking the marks from his teammates. The enforcer has the ability to dish out large amounts of damage from mid to long range while heavily suppressing the enemy.
Yeah, so very different roles in that switch. So interesting to see such a huge change in class from one end of the map to the other here from our community team. However, so far it's not working out so well for them. They lost the first player in their artilleryman Krebser. But the other three are still close by and still alert. They haven't darted in to try and revive him too quickly. They are looking to gain control of the area and make sure they find out where the developers are sitting before they make such a play. Weaver, however, is using this as an opportunity to gather a good position himself. And we've talked about how he can be very influential with that sniper rifle if he gets the opportunity. So they need to keep an eye open for that and make sure he can't do it. Holt, meanwhile, is being suppressed down by the enforcer that the community team have brought in. So that's something important for him to know. He's not going to be able to move too much and has to plant down some mines for protection. Meanwhile, Nerf Blackbeard does land another shot, but it's on the tank and it didn't completely finish off the target. And in return, one more community player has died. Down goes their enforcers who are flanked from one edge, and this time all 4 developers are still standing just against 2. So, as the sniper and the point man, the deadly combo that opened up and began the fragging at the start of that first round, have to flank back from their previous position now to redeem and revive their 2 fallen comrades. It's on to them to find and locate these developers who have now taken up positions in very defensible spots. They had a greater start, they played a slightly more aggressive style like you asked them to, and it worked out for them picking up these early 2 kills, but now they've gone back into a slightly more cautious passive role, waiting for these other 2 community members to make themselves known.
Yeah, they're just waiting for them to make a move at this point.
So, with each round being a full 8 minutes long at this point, what happens if they just sit here and wait for all 8 minutes to play out?
Well, if the round time ends, then the round is a draw and it's going to be replayed.
So
that's
if
one of the
one
ways
player
to
left alive on either team,
yeah, exactly.
At the time it counts as a draw. It's not a case of more left alive wins. It's anyone left alive on the team. The only way to
it's very clear. You can win
them all.
You can win the game in 3 ways. Either you wait it out and hope not to be found, kill all the enemy team, or hope for a draw.
Yeah, so we'll see what they choose to go with. But from what we've seen our community players do earlier on, waiting it out is not really their style. I suspect they're going to go for aggressive plays in a bit. They just need to find where the developers are hiding. Eroctic and Nerf Blackbeard are making their moves now, and here we go. Blackbeard has picked up the first kill, taking out Holt, shutting him down from a flank position. Eroctic is close behind him though, but because Blackbeard shot, he now is revealed and has to turn and back away. You see him running through the tree line to get to safety, but Eroctic was there waiting, looking for a head to pop up, looking for anyone that might step up and try and take a shot, and ready to trade that kill straight back. But wisely, the developers kept themselves hidden this time round. They are still sitting on some of the community bodies too, so when they get in close and go for these revives, then they'll be there waiting for them. Midas sitting on one body, and the pings are coming in now as Eroctic is started shooting. Weaver is coming up close, he's going to switch to his pistol, and we've seen him do damage with this in the past. The grenade goes up and over the top, Eroctic right over the top of him, tries to drop down, he's now chasing around the log pile. Smart play from Weaver, darts back out, won't get the kill himself, but Midas immediately trades it away, so it is a 1-for-1, keeping the developers up in a 2-1 favourable situation. However, now, Blackbeard's sniper has the last man standing adrenaline rush. He has eyes on Midas and he can't quite land the shot. Meanwhile, Weaver has been revived, so it's 3v1 in favour of the developers, but there's not a lot of health on their tank. Nomad also in the middle of being revived by Holt, so it's about to be 4 players versus 1. The Holt revive is a very slow process because of the severe wounds, but he's alive and they run straight into a mine placed afterwards. A double kill for Blackbeard on that mine placement, and he puts it straight back into 2-1, but Midas has spotted Blackbeard himself now. He does get into cover before the killing blow has landed, but steps back out, and developers win round number 2.
Oh, that was tight.
That was a tight final round. Blackbeard just stuck his head out a little bit too early, and the final blow comes in from Midas, leaving us at a 1-all scoreline here in Deforestation. Talk to me about the last man standing adrenaline rush. What did that mean for Blackbeard when it kicked in?
Yeah, so last man standing, it's our way to even out the odds when you get to 1vx situation. So what it does is essentially giving you a bit more, it's giving you health regen. It makes you invulnerable to suppression effects and flashbang effects. And also makes you revive your teammates faster. So it gives you a tool set to deal with the situation. But of course, this is only happening once per team per round. So there's only one chance that you get.
Yeah, gotta make it. It doesn't make you an unstoppable killing machine. It just gives you the tools you need to get your team back up and back into the game. On that other note there too, the health regeneration. Is that the only time you get health regeneration, or is there other ways to get health back?
There's scattered throughout the map. There are some health and ammo boxes, so you can access those to replenish your health and ammo. There are in easy to reach spots, but they're kind of exposed, so it's a risk and reward situation.
Okay, so no natural regeneration, only on the last man standing buff or running over and picking it up from an exposed box. Okay, very interesting discovery. Now, as we switch things back to our original starting positions, our developers up on the high ground and our community team down on the low ground, our developer squad running an artillery, a point man, a sniper and a tank again, and our community team have switched their enforcer back into a tank role. So they've got a sniper, a tank, an artillery and a point man all over again. So going for a little bit less of the suppression, which to be fair, we didn't see anything of from him because he died very early on and they didn't get to use his special ability that much in the last game. So maybe the tank's marking power will work out in favour for them here. Still no scout, which we saw in the early practice games with these guys, was very powerful in the foliage heavy map like this because the scout drone can detect movement. So where you're seeing on the screen right now, you're seeing little yellow dots sometimes. Those are sound notifiers if something has made a noise. But if you're on the scout drone, you get little white dots when there's movement within the trees, and that helps you zone in and find and mark targets with the scout drone. All the other drones don't have that little marker. That makes it harder for things to be found, especially in these trees. So it's an interesting one to see that people are, or these teams rather, are opting to go without it for now. But they are marking each other. Holt just got marked up in the tree line, and well, the rest of the developers are all very close by, so they immediately have to go into hiding as well. They've all started on their spawn up on that back side of the map and headed up into the trees and up into the hill line to try and flank around down that side and use the high ground to their advantage. Our community team, on the other hand, sent a couple of players into the central compound. Robo Mohawk, specifically on that tank, is right and deep in within the buildings in the middle of the map. But Eroctic and Nerf Blackbeard are once again down on the southern edge by the road, sitting on those log piles and looking at what they can find. Krebser, on the artillery player, spent most of his time on the drone, is now starting to land some shots onto the developers as they're coming in his direction, but mainly just gathering information for his team. Now, artillery shells coming down on towards the central compound building does force our tank to move around down there a little bit, but the marks are coming out and players are now starting to have to really move around. As you can see here, everyone is equipped with a pair of binoculars. Is that right?
Yeah.
And those binoculars can also mark targets. And what are the other ways to mark targets other than drones and binoculars?
Well, there is what you see on the screen. There's a green marker. That's one of the ways to mark the enemy team. We call that a comfort objective. It's not the way to win the game, to interact with the tower, but you can use that to give yourself the ability to see the enemy team for a short amount of time. And that's usually how you flush out the last guy remaining.
Yeah, the recon tower, it takes 8 seconds to sit there and channel and activate it, so it's a very risky spot to stand still at for 8 seconds. Plus, when it gets activated, everyone in the game is notified that it's activated. So if you can get it off, it's a 20-second timer in which everyone on the enemy team is marked for the whole duration. So very, very powerful to find out where your opponents are. But with 4 players alive on both teams, I don't think we'll see either one of these players or either one of these groups going for it anytime soon. All the marks that were on the developers have faded now. They've got back into hiding. They've repositioned away a little bit, and everyone's back into their mode of trying to hunt down their opponents and find an opportunity, find an opening kill.
Really cautious play.
Yeah, what we are seeing from the developers now, which I like after the first few rounds, is they are playing as a much more grouped up unit instead of being incredibly spread like they were previously.
Yeah.
So, drone does spot the tank, but he is not going to mind being marked. His special ability, in fact, invites people to mark him instead of his team, so he's going to happily shoot that down and run through the open to get to safety or draw the attention away and hopefully try and bait out some information for his team to build on. Also note that he's actually at the recon tower right now, trying to dance in and out and pretend to maybe activate it. He might give it a quick blip in a moment just to try and signal the alarm and try and draw someone's attention. He is going to go for it. The shots
there you go.
The marks are coming through, but he's holding it out. He does get shot from the south side and will immediately now pull off of it and run away, but it's not too serious damage. Let's see if his team have used that to gather information and mark any of the opponents. Right now, looking at the community player screens, there aren't any enemies marked, so they didn't see where those shots came from. They have a rough idea. They saw the sounds. You can see the pings going off in that direction. They know where the bullet tracers are, but they haven't got solid eyes on any of the developers.
That's a very good tactic to flush out the opponents. If you don't know where they are, just bait them into shooting you.
Yeah, make it a bet. They had to make that shot. He's going in for it again. Now, in fact, another recon tower coming through. More shots coming out. Does get suppressed to turn and run. He's taking a lot more damage this time, but can still happily tank it up and get back into safety. Eroctic is being spotted by Weaver now, so the developers are starting to see the community players, despite the play here and despite the bait coming from the community team. So the shots are rattling back and forth from either team. First kill comes in, Nerf Blackbeard taking out the point man with a great shot to give the community players the man advantage. But because of how grouped the developers were, they might get the revives in. As a second kill comes out for Nerf Blackbeard up on the hillside. 2 players pushing up under that sniper, and they both lose out and are now down with severe wounds. Weaver on the tank is getting the notification about the recon tower going through again, but the shots can't land this time because there are too many dead players on the developer squad. He's still hunting for that sniper that just killed his teammates but can't find him. The community team do not finish. Sorry, they do finish the recon tower this time over. So both detected members of the dev team are now running for the hills. Weaver sprinting as much as he can, staying mobile, staying busy. Nerf Blackbeard is right in the middle of both Nomad and Weaver. He has already killed 2 players. If he gets the other 2, he can wipe them all out. But he's playing it safe. He called it to his team. They know he's around there. They know they're both around there. He's just staying hidden, staying away, and bringing his team to him before he's taking any kind of fights.
It's a bad situation because they're really far away from their down teammates.
There's also a minute 45 left to go on the clock, so the community guys know now they have to get these 2 kills here if they don't want to replay the round. A draw, of course, meaning nobody wins, means the round will get straight replayed. So if they want to press home their advantage, use these 2 kills and get the victory, they need to do it in a minute and a half now. Closing on and up the hill, Robo Mohawk's getting up there as fast as he can. Weaver and Nomad very close, but they're going to run into Eroctic if they're not careful. He, however, has just called that he's seen them. He's got them spotted. He does get the first kill, very nicely taking down Weaver. Nomad, though, is close by. He sees the marker for his dead teammate. Doesn't have a great idea of where it is the kill came from, though. But he also has that adrenaline rush. He's got a little bit of health regeneration. He's got no stamina punishment if he wants to sprint through, and he does find the first man. Takes Eroctic down. But now they know where he is. They have more of an idea. He's going to rush a revive out. They're going to push on in, trying to throw grenades up, but they don't know exactly where the body is, and he manages to get it off thanks to that boost from the adrenaline rush. Robo Mohawk, Nerf Blackbeard coming down from the same side now, and they know which side that is, so you can see the focus is going on. Another revive comes through, and another player is back on. As we see, 3 players left up for the community team. 2 for the developers, and developers are happy to just wait this out. 30 seconds to go. Weaver is cautiously running through the bushes. Krebser, last community player not on the hillside, is at the recon tower. He's going to try and use this as a last-ditch effort. It will last the entire rest of the game as it goes for 20 seconds, but the shots are coming in from our dev players to get one more kill. The tank is only just alive here for them, but he picked up a kill. Only the sniper left alive. Nerf Blackbeard's got to kill 2 players if he wants to make this work. He's looking for that one remaining developer. It's a sniper, and he's running for the hills. He's looking as best he can, sprinting his way out. Weaver, despite being marked, does outlive the clock and pulls it through for a draw.
Very good play.
Smart play right at the last second. While Nomad was left fighting, was delaying them, was keeping the community players busy, Weaver just ran for it. The distance between him and them kept cover going. Despite being marked, forces out a draw. So we will be replaying that final round, keeping the score at 1-1 and looking to see if we can get a proper victor coming out of this. The operator, the class selection that they came out with, that they went with on that choice, really was shown to full effect, I think, from especially the community team. They used the tank to bring in and draw attention to the recon tower, to bait those shots in, soak up the extra rounds. They had their sniper at a distance looking for what he could. Once the tank had found out where they were, once they locked those players on the hillside, he pushed in with his point man. They went for the combat, leaving then their artillery player, their drone player, back down by the recon tower to continue scouting them for information, continue learning more, and forcing the developers further and further up the hillside using his artillery. A really great way of using each and every operator, I think, from the community. Now then, developer squad, changing their ideas a little bit. They are getting a bit more rhythm. They're getting a bit more cohesive as a unit, as we said. The teamwork was a little bit better that time. They stayed closer to one another, got a couple of clutch revives off at the last second when they needed it. We'll see if they can pull it off again. With the draw, they do still swap starting positions. So our developer team are up on the hillside now. Sorry, down on the bottom side, rather, and they are pushing again heavily as a group, but this time on the south side of the map, along that road that leads down this bottom edge. A little bit less foliage on this side than there is on the hillside, but a quicker route to your enemy's position. But they've all been spotted now by that drone that went up very early on from our community team, and they are digging in and getting ready for the push to come from that side. As it is, our community team have actually got themselves a scout as well. That's drone probably why it made it so easy for them to spot it. There's a scout drone on both teams now. All our warm-up games, all our practice games didn't see a scout drone actually used by our community team. They used an artillery drone or just no drone whatsoever for their warm-ups.
Well, scout drone is an acquired taste. When you see two drones, one that can dish out damage and one that cannot, but only marks players, you instinctively go for the drone that can shoot. But once you learn that the information in this game is actually power, if you know where the enemy is, you can finish the game. Then you start really using it and appreciate its strengths.
Yeah, that is the key thing to know here, is that information really is power. While yes, there are the assault classes, the tanks and the point men that are made for killing and for laying down that fire. They cannot do that effectively without the support classes, without the marksmen, without the drones and the information there to help it happen, because you die so very quickly in this game that if you're going somewhere blind and don't know exactly what it is you're walking into, you will easily have the situation turned against you and in your favor, and you can easily just put yourself in a horrible position and be unrevivable and be completely out of the game. So those drones are very, very strong. Meanwhile, the rest of the lineup for our developer team has a point man, a tank and an enforcer in it, so they've ditched their sniper completely, going for double LMGs, but as you mentioned, tank and enforcer do very different roles, but they've still got that point man tank combo for a heavy aggression when the fighting starts. Meanwhile, for our community team, they're bringing themselves a tank, a point man, an enforcer and a scout as well, so we'll see who uses that same lineup better than the other. First couple of shots are rattling in from Weaver on towards some of our community players. While the suppression is there a little bit, it was onto the tank, so the damage wasn't too significant, but he doesn't give his position away too badly in the process, so can live to fight another day for a little bit longer. Recon Tower, as you see there, has just become active in this round, so if anyone wants to go for it, they could do now. It's not active from the very first second, but this situation, neither team's going to go anywhere near that. More shots landing onto the tanks of Robo Mohawk. He is unsure exactly of where they're coming from, so he's trying to stay in cover but poking his head out a little bit more. But there's the first casualty as the developers pick up kill number 1 and take down the sniper player. Take down Nerf Blackbeard here for the community squad. And for a change, he's actually a long way from his team. Left further down the south flank with the rest of his players pushing closer and closer to what was originally the developer spawn. So, Robo Mohawk also low health as that tank, and Heroctic looking to fall back and away together, not going to throw everything away by trying to revive Blackbeard, but also playing cautiously now that they are a man down. There actually was, you see the community team healing up their scout on one of those health and ammo boxes you talked about before. Yep. He was confident to do it because of where it's placed and away from all of the other players, but it is very open and exposed. Meanwhile, Heroctic has killed off the first developer, taken down the enforcer player. As the second one sticks his head up, Nomad gets suppressed, but he's out of ammunition with that quick spray, but sticks his head up again, and Heroctic will get another kill, taking Nomad out of the picture. But the trade is looking back. Weaver trying to land shots onto Heroctic, but can't land the killing blow, so he gets away to safety again as well. Grenades coming now towards Weaver's position, but he ducks away from it and hides. Just the two developers left up then, Midas and Weaver still standing. Weaver's position is known, so he's in a bit of a precarious spot. Midas, however, is hiding actually very close to Kripsa without knowing about it. There's a flank coming in, and an achievement, in fact, coming out for Heroctic, picking up 3 kills in a round, taking down Weaver as well, and it's now all on Midas. He steps out from the building, and they're waiting for him. Cleaned it up, and map number 1 goes 2-1 to our community players. There it is. So we saw a different start. We saw the scout drone start from a community team, and it really helped them get a leg up in their game. The moment they spotted all 4 of those players pushing down that flank, they pinned them in, hemmed them in, and held firm. Despite losing the first casualty of the round, despite losing their sniper, he was stepped back a little way. They were still able to capitalize on it and really make the most of it. So, we saw perfect examples of the point man and the sniper in that game. We also saw the scout right at the end there. Give me a little short overview of each one, what section they come into when it comes to our three class groups, and what it is you feel, or their role you feel they fit within each team. Starting with the point man.
So the point man is the no nonsense operator. He's the damage dealer of the whole classes from the bunch. His job is to go in and kill all the other classes. His basic ability is to be resistant to suppression effects and to flashbangs.
So there's just no stopping that man. If he wants to come in and shoot, he's using assault rifles, he's using ACRs, he's using AK-12s, he's going to come in and just mow people down. As you just saw Eroctic do. He was playing the point man, he had the AK-12 and he picked up, I think, all 4 of those kills. Moving on to the sniper, what's his special ability and how do they operate within a team?
Well, the sniper is the sniper.
Yeah.
You just place him long range and just allow him to dish out huge amounts of damage from afar. His special abilities to have penetration bullets, so he can shoot through cover.
So, yeah, and that's, I believe we see it in some of the trailers too, it's like solid cover too, like lots of concrete and things as well. Finally, the Scout, we touched on it a little bit in that last game, he has that motion detector on his drone, but we're going to learn more about that with our first classes trailer, covering all 3 of those 3 classes. Check this out.
You may have won the battle against Santa Blanca, but the war rages on. And this new enemy is unlike anything you've faced before. The only way to keep from losing ground is to work as a team. Alone, you're a Tier 1 combatant, but together, you're unstoppable. Enemy spotted. The Point Man. Immune to suppression and flashbangs, he's the guy you want on the front lines. His skills are highly effective at close-range combat. The Scout's drone can detect enemy movement anywhere in the combat zone, giving him their last known position. The Sniper. She has access to semi-auto, high-powered rifles that have the biggest damage output of all the marksman classes. Special operations units from around the world are trying to gain a foothold in Bolivia. Shit. Every action has a reaction, and every problem has a solution.
All right, welcome back then. So that was our first 3 classes, the Point Man, the Sniper, and the Scout. Let's dive straight into game number 2 on Quarry, a very different map. And if any of you plays the closed beta, this is going to be new to you as well, as a brand spanking new map here, first time you're going to see it. Quarry, unlike Deforestation,
very
is a very small map. Yeah, please talk me through Quarry and where it differs exactly.
Well, Quarry's, to start with, it's way smaller than the first one. And it's very linear, and due to the fact that it's confined within this quarry geometry. So this doesn't allow for much flanking, so to say.
Yeah, it's one we saw very early, very fast aggression, and as closed beta players, it's also new to you, so as that goes with our community players here too. We saw them play it for the first time this morning, and the strategies they came up with from round to round were very vastly different, as they were trying to learn what works best and learn where to go from each spawn position. So this could all be brand spanking new from us again here. We'll see what it is they've thought up and come up their sleeve. You can immediately see from the start of the round, it's an instantly more aggressive beginning, whereas you see on Deforestation, some squads like to take it slower and sit back and drone first and find information. Right off the back here in Quarry, it's very important to get up fast, get to your front line, get to your favourite positions, and get stuck in there with everyone in their right spot to then make your foothold and to start advance forward and find your opposition. It's very hard to hide because, as you say, lack of foliage, it's more linear. You know exactly exactly where your opponents are going to be coming from. You know they're going to be in that general direction somewhere, and there are a few very favourable positions everyone likes to hide in.
We're probably going to see some less scout drone use this time around.
I was going to say less scout drone use, more artillery drone. We're already seeing it here for our developers. We're also seeing it for our community team. Both of these squads knowing the power of that displacement, knowing the power that artillery brings, getting it out early and forcing these players out of the places they want to be in from the start. This is also the one which we really saw Weaver make his mark on yesterday in our practice games. Full 4 kills, I think 2 rounds in a row, getting up on these very tall conveyor belts and just picking teams apart from up there. It's a very high risk position to be in because if you do die when you're up there, there's no reviving happening. But if you can get up there and get lots of shots off, you have a great vision of the whole battlefield. So the mortars are coming in. There's a great placement there from our developers. They actually managed to, from our community players, they actually managed to push 2 developers back away from the spot they wanted to be at. And while it was going on, you can see Krebs and Robo Mohawk are pushing up within the compound, within this quarry area in the middle of the fight to try and get a bit more of a position on those developers. The Recon Tower, while we talked about it before, it's always a high-risk, high-reward objective, even more so here on Quarry, because it's so exposed and the map is so small, it's very easy for people to get close to that Recon Tower and pick you off. So even trying to bait it as a tank is a very dangerous place to be. So mines being placed down by artillery players, just little traps in the most common hiding spots to try and catch people out. But then he tries to run straight across the road in the middle of the map and immediately regrets that decision. Shots rattling off him from the artillery player here on your screens right now. But he gets back to safety, just lost half his health. Now remember, there's no regeneration or anything on this, so he's going to stick to that loss. More and more drones going up and instantly being taken out. As we said, it's very easy to figure out where your opponents are sitting now, so the shots on these drones are less important. Nice shot from Weaver. Yeah, takes down the opposing sniper with a very quick shot to the face. But yeah, these drones, less worry about giving your position away, more important, but getting them out of the sky so they can't call their artillery strikes in. As you just saw happen there on 2 members of the developing squad. They have to push right back now. One of them, in fact, I believe just died too. Yes, died to the artillery strike. Holt falls down to Krebs's artillery strike. And that's a painful spot for them to be in. Midas is the last man standing now, I believe.
They're moving in to control the situation.
Yep, the buff on him. He does get 1 revive off, but the push is coming in from the community team now. Shots are there. It's immediate 1v4, but they're right on top of them. And it's a quick win for the developer team, for the community team. So, round number 1 to the community squad. Very different to what we saw early on, because in our practice games the development team won this map hands down. As you said, it's brand new for our community squad. They'd never played it before, they had no opportunities, nothing to figure out, and the developer team rolled over them. But they're learning as they go, and yeah, as you said, the more aggressive nature this map brings, very apparent there. Once you start getting 1 or 2 kills, push that advantage home.
Yeah, the really front line is very clear in this one. There's no denying the enemies will be up in front.
Yeah, so
if you control the flanks, because there are some flanks, but they're easier to control, then it's really clear where the enemy is.
We saw some very interesting mine usage on this in our practice games earlier on, and perhaps things like that will come more apparent as the game evolves and the meta is there, because yeah, as you say, it's a limited map, there's smaller places, lesser places to be. Planting mines in the more traditional pushes could help protect you and get you back in and reviving your teams and just protecting you from those aggressive pushes. So we'll see. As they've split sides now, we see our developers coming from the slightly longer spawn and a community team starting within the buildings and within the compound. So with that, we also see a slight change in our developers' loadout. They aren't bringing artillery drone anymore. They brought the scout drone instead. So we'll see why it is they think that, what it is they believe is stronger with the scout drone than the mortar, because we just saw how powerful the mortar can be against them, as our community used it to pick up 1 kill and displace his teammate to the point where eventually they could turn it into a victory. Meanwhile, our community squad sticking to what they know: sniper, point man, tank and artillery, and they're going to continue with that winning formula for now. Weaver is up on some of the initial rocks. He's got these sound markers on his screen. He knows roughly where to look at. He's already won 1 of the 2 sniper battles today, taking Nerf Blackbeard out in the first round, and down he goes again, right next to his teammate. So we'll see if the revive comes in from Robo Mohawk, but he is very exposed behind these porta potties. Another shot rattles on through. Krebs points his head out to try and provide some cover. Darts away again after drawing the fire, and it does look like the revive will go through. But now they know where Weaver sits and their sniper's back alive. So how's Weaver going to play it? Well, this is Quarry, so he's going to stay largely where he is for now, because there are few places that he can go, but it's a very defensible position he's already in. The other key thing we've seen people learning from this map is that as the spawn on the east side, trying to get out far to the left, out far on towards the northern edge, really helps benefit you as a teammate. Getting yourself stuck in this tight alleyway where we see Nomad and I believe it's the enemy point man fighting right now can be devastating to a defensive team. Yeah, Eroctic is the point man fighting Nomad here.
Tight spot.
Yeah, it's not a nice place to be. A barrel explosion goes off and takes down Kresba. Down he goes. There is, of course, those environmental things in here. As you said, take out explosive barrels, you can knock down buildings and create noise diversion, smash windows and stuff to attract attention, and well, that one proved to be lethal. We also saw another great shot coming out from Weaver, taking down Nerf Blackbeard for a second time. Still, of course, has those severe wounds on him too, so the revive is slow. Eroctic picked off as another man from Nomad this time around. He had him pinned that whole time, and as he tried to jump across the gap to go and revive his team, he's shut down with ease, and it leaves just Robo Mohawk to try and clear it up for his team. He's going to get that quick revive on Crespa. Straight back down again as he sticks his head up the wrong direction. Halts there. Robo Mohawk flanking Nomad, and the developers are winning 1 round apiece. Just like we saw with the community team. Once you get those first couple of kills on Quarry, it's very easy to snowball the following ones down because the revive chance is very low, the combat space is very low, and closing the gap is very easy.
What I saw was that once they did the first couple of kills, then they moved in to control the situation and eliminate the last guy standing. So.
Yeah, immediately closed that gap, quickly got on top of them. There's no time for them to think. Severe
very
wounds,
aggressive.
Even more beneficial because of how small the time is. As I say, it increases the revive time, makes it harder for you to get your team back up, and you can really punish that nicely. So, third and final round here on Quarry before we head to Lumbermill, our final map, another different one again. We'll see who comes out on top. Once again, we're back to our initial starting positions. The developers down here on the northern edge, and our community team spawning up on what is technically the southern edge, but the way it curves around is a bit strange. So here we see them spawning straight on through, rushing forward as much as they did before, but we're seeing Nerf Blackbeard going a very different route to what we saw previously. You can see it here on your screens, far out to the right-hand side from that spawn position. We normally see people make a more direct route from that spawn position because you can get to some favourable positions very early on, but he's taking his tank with him and going deep out to the right-hand side. They've also still got that artillery drone, which is their eye in the sky and giving them some initial information, and you can see Holt's position is marked, but no serious shots landed yet. Developers switched their scout back to an artillery drone of their own, also bringing the scout, the sniper, the enforcer, and the point man with them. There you can see the suppression on your screen has that enforcer logo just underneath the word suppress, shows that it's the special enforcer ability being used, not just normal suppression. Shot coming in from Blackbeard, can't quite hit Holt, but it was close. So, the calls come out about Holt's position. Even though the mark has gone down, you do know roughly where he is, and of course this is Quarry. There's not a lot of place to move, so you'll see it. Nerf Blackbeard taken down again. Weaver with another great counter snipe. Told you about this map and Weaver, and he's really showing it now. Taking him down again, despite Blackbeard's slightly unconventional position, different spot up on that extra side. Still put a bullet in his brain. Krebs going to go for a revive, going to go and try and get him back on his feet. Thanks to the way his body's landed, he has fallen back down the hill a little way, and that does provide the safety to do just this. So he will come back up, despite the longer revive time, but we'll see whether or not it matters as the rest of his team are getting pinned from double angles now. Eroctic is getting shot from two sides and now being marked because of it. The shots are rattling in and just keeping him pinned, but Midas is immediately sniped back by Nerf Blackbeard now that he's on his feet, so it's a great return now that all the attention is on his point man. Eroctic still having a tough time, but keeping the attention his way. The mortar comes out and Krebser gets another mortar drone kill onto Holt, who was too busy trying to shoot onto that point man, who has still managed to get himself away to safety. Meanwhile, the revive is coming in from Nomad onto Midas, getting him back up onto his feet despite being sniped out from a distance, but he's keeping him down in the cover of these rocks. This time around, because the more spread out positions the community team have taken, their follow-up pushes from those kills haven't been as effective. They grabbed 2 kills there in a 4v2, but they couldn't push in and make it count when they had those downs. So the revives were able to get completed, and we're back up into a more even situation until Weaver comes out and wins the sniper war again. 3v3 now as Nerf Blackbeard is once more down. Weaver now playing a more mobile role again as well, starting to push a little way forward. The recon tower is activated, but again, unlikely we'll see anyone go to it. Marks ended up on Robo Mohawk, but he loses them for a moment. Point man still, Eroctic, very, very low on health, but he's getting another revive in onto their sniper. Back up into a 4v3 for our community team. Holt is in a very open position thanks to that artillery strike. Nomad wants to give it a go on the revive, but it's a very risky play. Calls and information is flowing back and forth between each team. but not a lot of
Back
progress
to square
really being
one.
made. Yeah. Each squad is getting a kill here and there. Robo Mohawk will fall, and this is developers now up 4 versus 2. Sorry, the community team up 4 versus 2. This is their chance to really push it home. The downed players are in very exposed, separated positions now. Weaver trying to push up to try and help cover, but he has been marked, and Nerf Blackbeard has eyes on him. Going to try and shoot through that corrugated iron, as we talked about. You said the sniper's penetration is his special ability, but there are 2 cabins there, and he went into the second one. Nomad sprints across to try and get to Holt, and will be taken out as he goes, leaving Weaver alone. Nerf Blackbeard trying to land more shots onto him, but Robo Mohawk is going to be his immediate pressure as Robo Mohawk pushes up very aggressively. Grenade goes out, flashbang around one side. It doesn't land, but as he steps out, he's sniped anyway, and it's another 2-1 victory for our community team. These rounds are getting closer, but just coming out on top every little time.
Yeah, it always plays out differently. Always plays out differently.
Yeah, it's a very exciting round. We've seen point mans and tanks really shine on that site. We've seen them really push in and get 3, 4, 5 kills apiece. But now, as we're seeing here, we're seeing snipers come out on top. Weaver having the most kills for the developers despite their loss. On the community team, Nerf Blackbeard, Robo Mohawk, both with 4 kills each. So on the tank and the sniper, both really making their roles count and making it work. So that was map number 2. That was Quarry. It's a very different one to Deforestation. And what we saw a lot of in there, as we just said, was tank and artillery. Artillery particularly was very strong. But we didn't see so much of was the Enforcer. Now, of our next class trailer, these are the 3 we want to focus on. So tell me about the Enforcer, because we didn't get to see it in action.
Yeah, so Enforcer, like I told you before, is part of the marksman class, and his passive special ability is to suppress the enemy players. And what that does is negate their ability to shoot for a short period of time.
Yeah, so that suppression, which everyone can do, the Enforcer can do with his special ability much faster, much harder, and because he's running an LMG and a scope on it, you say marksman class, he can do it from a distance. He can put a lot of fire down from a long way away and suppress multiple targets at the same time. So a very, very powerful tool to have
everyone in
arsenal.
check.
Yes, keeps everyone pinned. Moving back to, as I say, the artillery. Again, people that played the closed beta, that artillery was deadly. Did a lot of work in killing people. You've made a few changes to that now here for the open beta. So tell me the little bits of the differences between then and now.
Yeah, so based on community feedback, we decided to switch the role of the artillery from being a killer to more of it being a area denial. So the use that it has now is just to flush enemy players out of a particular spot, or deny advance to a particular spot.
Yeah, but as we saw, Krebs has still picked up a couple of kills with his artillery drone. You can't ignore it, even though the changes are there. You can't just sit in it the whole way through. And finally, the tank. Well, we saw him soaking up a lot of bullets, especially on Deforestation, baiting that recon tower out. We saw a lot of things coming his way. What exactly is his special ability? Is it just the health, or is there more to it?
Oh, there's more to it, actually. He has an active special ability. So once you press the special ability button, you can unmark your teammates and mark yourself for a short duration of time. And that creates some really interesting situations. You can use that special ability preemptively at the beginning of the round to allow your teammates not to be marked from the get-go and allow them to move into flank. Or you can use them, for example, in a special situation such as the recon tower to unmark yourself from being marked with the recon tower.
Okay, so if the enemy team picks up their recon tower, you can hit your special ability and unmark all your teammates, which is a very powerful thing to have, actually, considering, say, 20 seconds of mark from that recon tower can change a round. Let's take a look at our Classes 2 trailer featuring the Enforcer, the Artillery, and the Tank.
They say there's power in numbers. But sometimes, the scales aren't tipped in your favor. Sometimes, you go head-to-head with a whole mess of hostiles. Sometimes, you need a force multiplier. You need to fight numbers with power. The tank comes in. A heavily armored, frontline operative, he can remove all enemy marks from his team, drawing their attention onto himself, highly effective in a firefight. The Enforcer. He has the ability to suppress enemies from far away. uses advanced suppression to daze targets, throwing off their aim. When you're bleeding out with multiple hostiles breathing down your neck. When you're outmanned, you need a bit of shock and awe to break your enemy's will. The artillery class uses a drone that can launch a mortar strike anywhere in the AO. But what about when your own will is tested? Who's going to help you then?
Welcome back then, guys. That was the Enforcer, the Artillery, and the Tank. Don't forget, if you want to win yourself one of these very nice 511 backpacks and this Wildland patch, you can enter in the chat with !raffle, and we'll announce the winners in our community hangout later on with UB Ampers. Stick around and pay attention for that. Also, if you want to play this open beta that is starting on September 21st and runs through to 25th, you can preload it right now on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Uplay. So you might want to go and check that out if this is interesting to you. We now are going to head to map number 3. It's going to be Lumber Mill. So from the surface and the overview map, it's going to look a little bit similar to Deforestation, right? It's a compound in the middle, trees around the edge.
Yep.
But then if you look at the size of the yellow square, it's going to be much, much smaller, much more like Quarry. So playing a much faster version of that first map.
Probably. It's, well, the main difference is, like you said, it's a bit more compact and allows for more conflict in the middle. But it's also more, has a bit more vegetation on the left side and entices players to flank on that side more.
So one thing with the haven't seen yet, but we did see in our warm-up games, is our community team running 4 grunt operators. Talk to me about the grunt operator. What is it? What does it bring to a game compared to the normal classes?
So actually, grunt is now recruit. That's one of the changes that we made for open beta based on community feedback. So we actually made the recruit more important now to give the players more options. So for example, you may, because the game only allows 1 class per team, except the recruit, you may find yourself locked out of your favorite class and you're forced to play with the recruit. But if you do so, we give you more options. So now with the recruit you have an assault rifle, a LMG and a sniper rifle, plus the ability to use a drone.
Yep, so there's a possibility for quite a few mix-ups with there. We saw it was 4 drones from our community team when they tried it earlier on, but these drones of course aren't like the artillery ones. They can't call in explosives, and they're not like the scout drone. They can't motion detect, but they are still drones. Similar things as you say, the weaponry, that's just strong weapons, but they're lacking the special abilities of other, say, sniper rifles and stuff. But we'll see whether or not they do that here or in a minute. As we do have this 3rd and final game just about up, we can get the picture of that on your screen, I believe, and we can talk through the map overlay and what Lumber Mill looks like. Because as we said, it does on the surface look a little bit like Deforestation. There's a compound in the middle and trees around the edge, a lot of foliage around the edge, but it is much, much smaller. So the idea for flanking is a lot riskier in doing so, and we saw more and more fights within that central compound. So you can see on the bottom side of the map, it's a big, thick, dense foliage area, which you can actually drop back from your spawn quite a way, which we've seen some teams use to their advantage, pushing forward, getting spotted by initial drones, then dropping deeper within their spawn, back around the other way, and coming up some other side for a surprise. But then down on the other spawn, a little bit more compounded, more open exposed. You've got to cross a road straight away. Very easy to get early drone spots out on that. And again, it's something else that you say, tank pulling marks away or doubling back and flanking around again.
Yeah, that's one way to aim for a draw, just to lose yourself in that forest over there.
Yeah, exactly. Recon Tower, of course, still in the middle, still very much an exposed spot, but the health and ammo boxes are a little bit more covered on each end of the map with this one. You can see there's a building right next to the one on the top edge, and down on the bottom edge there's a lot of buildings and rubble around it. So we may see a few more hills, but as we've seen for most of today, a lot of these fights are happening and starting and finishing in very short spaces of time, so falling back to heal isn't so easy to do. We do have everyone in and good to go, so let's start game number 3 and find out if our developers can redeem themselves and get 1 victory or not, because they're currently down 2-0. Into Lumber Mill we head, and as we said, we'll see what the class breakdown is, because right now we're seeing tanks in every game, we're seeing a point man in almost every game. We've seen a sniper despite the heavily foliage maps of Deforestation, but the scout, artillery and enforcer tend to be the ones that are rotating around from all of these players, so we'll see whether that sticks true. Right now, looking at our operator section for the community team, we are looking at a scout in the mix for them again, a point man and a sniper and a tank. So again, similar to what we've seen, bringing that scout though will help them in the foliage. This is also now our first map to see a slight weather change too.
Yep.
We are in a stormy setting. How many different weather biomes are there, and what are the setups and how we see them? Are they going to change from round to round? Are they going to change mid-round? What's the breakdown on the weather?
Well, the weather will stick each round, so you're going to have the same settings each round, just to give everyone the same chance. Mm-hmm. But we do have a combination of weather and time of day. So we have day, night, and the transitions in between, back and forth. And 3 weather systems: the clear day, the foggy, and the rainy, like you see now.
The rainy storm one here, yeah, so lots of different options. And of course we will have custom games in the open beta which you guys can set down, make up, pick maps, pick weather types, and practice out and make games within yourselves, as well as the matchmaking version if you just want to jump in and play. So if you want to play with all these different weather types, if you want to play with the different maps and give that all a feel, you can do that in the open beta. So you can fall back to this. Now then, as this first round has opened up, we saw our initial drones come out, and you saw the developing team on your screens saw the drone go up, saw that scout going up, but then just stopped moving. They just hid. They went prone and hid behind bushes and behind trees, so the scout drone got no information. They let it time out, they didn't shoot it down, they kept themselves hidden. Meanwhile, our community team are pushing up a little bit more on the left-hand side. And once again, we're seeing the snipers a little bit more spread from the rest. Holt, Midas, Nomad there for the developers, very close to Nerf Blackbeard now. That sniper player right out in front with his sole teammate close by to look after him. He does have a mine 25 meters in front of him, which should alert him to any movement coming from that direction. But meanwhile, their enforcer and their point man are down within the village, down within the buildings, keeping an eye on things. Drone goes up and spots Nerf Blackbeard. The shots come rattling in and take him down to half health, but he gets out to safety, and his teammate has now revealed himself by trying to return fire. So the developers know there's at least 2 players in that area. They are starting to lay some fire down onto it and push some advantage of their own. Their tank, however, is taking a beating and has to fall back himself. Nerf Blackbeard, though, is picked off and finished by by Midas and his SMG. So the first advantage is developer. They're going to keep the push through. Kresbert was the nearest by community player, but Robo Mohawk's making his way across. He's now right on top of Holt. They are fighting each other in point-blank range. Holt is darting around behind the locks. Robo Mohawk is darting around to try and follow him, and he will get the kill, taking Holt down and making it a 3v3. So the calls come out from the community team about 1 more player being here. It is Nomad. The sound markers are giving Nomad's position away. Robo Mohawk is edging towards Blackbeard, but Midas is still close and has his drone back in place. So he's putting that up to see if he can use it to mark up Robo Mohawk and Krebs' positions, feed it out to the rest of his team. It is getting shot down though by Robo Mohawk. He already knows he is revealed and, well, doesn't save him this time. Midas, as soon as he's off the drone, will shoot him straight down. Krebs are going to push up and try and get close, but now Weaver and Midas are very much on that position. Nomad is lower health, but is further back. The snark markers come in. Midas will fall this time to Krebs TV. SMG fight included. Nomad pushing further forward again. Weaver here with him. They have pushed Krebs right back and away. He's gone down actually towards the main compound. Inside the middle of the map, we do still have 1 member of the community team that's not in this fight. The revives are coming out from the developers, bringing the numbers back up. The point man is now flanking around behind, so Krebs has Eroctic coming here with him, but 4 developers are back on their feet. Krebs sneaking up behind Nomad without even realizing it right now. He's looking for an opportunity to make this count, but if he reveals himself too soon, the support from his point man won't be there. Eroctic may be left alone, and there it is. Krebs gets found by Nomad while he's on his drone, and it's now 1v4. Point man Eroctic up against 4 developers. 3 teammates are all down. They're all in a very small space, but the developers are very close by to each one. Eroctic is being marked by the drone and being spotted. They know exactly where he is. He's going to have to toss out some flashbangs or grenades and make a break for it. He's very low health, but it will regenerate while he's got the adrenaline rush. Doesn't matter when Weaver can land a shot like that. And developers take round number 1 in convincing fashion. It's a weird situation here where we've seen a swap in roles. The round number 1, Deforestation, right at the start, developers fell down because they spread out way too much. They've lost their first couple of kills without any real support. Come back here now, round number 3, final map, first round of it. And that's what we just saw from our community player. They spread out a little bit too far. They sent people too deep into their compound. The two guys that were left up top split a little bit too far apart. And the developers were very grouped up, were right on top of it, and swarmed those players before the rest could get there to back it up.
Better communication and better positioning.
So, and we saw a very powerful use of the scout drones in and amongst that foliage too, from both teams, throwing it out very short range, checking out what was there nearby, spotting these players which were gillied up, were hiding in bushes, but couldn't quite stand perfectly still, getting them spotted and getting them marked, and quickly capitalizing on it with the kills afterwards. Switching positions now then, of course, and once again we are heading into round number 2 here on Lumber Mill. So as the class selection goes, right now we're seeing similar things again. Our developer team running a scout drone, an enforcer, a tank and a sniper. And our community team switching their scout out for an artillery drone, also losing their point man, bringing a tank, an enforcer and a sniper.
You can see right from the get-go that the developer team is trying to stay a bit tighter this time around. Yeah. Whereas the community team just spread out. So
Robo Mohawk heading up into the hills, actually towards Midas and Nomad without him knowing about this. Eroctic is in the compound again. That's where he went at the start of the last round, and that's why he was so late to fighting it with the rest of his team at the end of the game. Blackbeard playing slow, cautiously, looking through the bushes, looking for an opportunity to land a quick snipe onto an important target, which we've seen him do in the past. And well, Krebser TV just finishes calling in an artillery strike very close to where our developers were, but as we said, it displaces them a little bit. Nerf Blackbeard puts a mine down quite close to him, makes sure his backside is covered if anyone's going to walk too close. We've seen a couple of situations these last couple of days where people have nearly trodden on each other because they just didn't know the other player was there. They weren't quite being aware of each other, and just the straight camouflage, especially in these dark, stormy maps, is very, very strong for these players.
Yep, and it's also, I want to make something really clear, and because it's something that the community asked for, is the fact that each class is customizable down to the individual pieces of gear and also the particular weapons that they have.
Yeah, a lot of customization involved and options to come forward here. We also have to help in dark stormy maps like this, or in a moment after the shots start rattling through, suppression does hit the Robo Mohawk up on top of those logs. He doesn't do any serious damage to the target he was firing on, so the developers managed to step up and move away, but now Robo's been pinned down and sniped by Weaver right next to Nerf Blackbeard, who has to turn and run. He does get up onto the locks from a different angle, but I'm not sure he's actually as covered there as he thinks he is, so he's going to try and sneak in for a revive, and he might regret it. Weaver still has a good angle on that position, and yes, indeed, Nerf Blackbeard changes his mind and moves away. But Nerf Blackbeard gets Nomad with that mine he placed on the other side of the logs as he was trying to flank around.
Good one.
Midas right there, though. Even though the severe wounds is there, Midas teases the idea of a revive, but actually changes his mind. Grenade comes over from Weaver, and Weaver will get the grenade kill onto Nerf Blackbeard, so he was trying to revive it, and he then fell. 2 community members down on this same position. Weaver going to come over and may be able to pick up Nomad, but once again, Eroctic is down inside the compound, or was rather. He's now coming around the top side, and flanking from the spawn of the community, of the developers. Krebser coming up quickly from the spawn. He was on his drone artillery most of the time. He's now being suppressed on his way there. He's right out in the open, doesn't have a lot of cover, and it's 2 versus 4 as the revive is completed on Nomad. Eroctic is firing from up top. 2 versus 3 now. Krebser managing to pick up that kill. Sorry, Eroctic picked up that kill with his flank. Nomad's pushing aggressively on, his tank pushing straight up there, getting right up into his face, and Nomad will get the kill onto Eroctic, leaving Krebser TV, the lone artillery player, down in the compound next to the recon tower. He got the kill onto Holt down here, severe wounded him too, and is now just putting distance between himself and the developers. So, pushing forward now, he's going to go and try and restock, heal himself up, get a bit more ammunition, get a bit ready to fight. The developers holding firm where they can up on the hillside, looking for an opportunity, and there it is. That's your opportunity, getting in on the recon tower. They're going to start using it. The drone is going up, the artillery strike is going down straight on top of it. I'm not sure if it's going to land fast enough. The mark goes down, recon tower will be completed. Now we watch them try and run for the hills. The explosions are going off, but he does take a little bit of damage, but he's also the tank, so he gets out of it away. Nomad's safe for another day, and the mark will last for 20 seconds here on Krebser TV. Krebser is putting more and more distance between himself and the developers now because of this, and while he's doing that, it's allowing them to revive Holt despite his severe wounds. So he is being picked up. Midas is going to meet him at the top of the hill. Midas will be there waiting. The mark will tick out. Krebser actually sprinting further and deeper up and around. Midas, however, does see him landing the shots, and it's enough. Developer team taking map number 3, 2 rounds to 0, in a much more impressive display of what it is they can do. As you said, it's straight teamwork. We saw 4 versus 2 for the entire first half of that round as the developers stuck close together and fought onto those 2-man fire team that the community members sent up into the hillside. And then when the 2 were left in town, all the developers were left up again to go and hunt them through. So with the time there, we are easily able to collapse down onto it and with the help of the recon tower find that last player. Very impressive indeed. So
we do have some time for
a 4th map. We do. We're showing 1 more game. So we're going to head on to our 4th and final map here of Desert Outpost. Now it's currently standing 2 rounds to 1 in favor of our community team. They did win those first 2 maps. So while there was a little bit of redemption there for the devs, they now have a chance to even out the scoreline and level it all through. Don't forget, of course, guys, there is a raffle running. So if you want to type !raffle in chat, you can get yourselves a 511 backpack and a Wildlands patch. The winner will be announced in our community hangouts after we are finished here in Paris by Ubisoft over in North Carolina. Meanwhile, though, we, as you can see, have our 4th and final map on the screen. So let's start that game and look at how Desert Outpost plays. This is a map that was in the closed beta and was played a lot by our community team. So I'm interested to see what it is they have up their sleeve, because it's another sniper-friendly map if you can get up onto that high ground. There are, however, a few key spots which are also very easily defended and very easily held until the artillery comes into play. So good artillery usage may just well be key. You'll also recognize a lot of this map, I believe, from the trailers as well, if you're paying very close attention to those. So, looking at how this plays and looking at what you guys have seen from the closed beta and watched from the statistics and internal testing, how do you feel this map plays out? Is it more like a Quarry? Is it a fast, aggressive map? Is it more like a Deforestation, a slower, more intel-based game?
Well, I think it's a mix between the two, because it's a more open map, but at the same time, it's a map that favors more sniper use. So I think we're going to see some more sniper use from both teams. I think they can run the sniper along with 2 recruits if they so wish.
All right, well, we'll see what they do. We can start this game now and get into our 4th final map. Starting then on the top side of the map, it's a long sprint down into the play area for the team that starts up there. Down on the bottom edge, it's a long trek, but you start in a much more covered position. You can actually get up onto the high ground far easier, but you are then very, very exposed once you get there. It's a safe route to there, but you're exposed once you reach it. However, on the top side of the map, it's a bit more exposed getting into the compound and getting onto those first few rocks, but then you have strong footholds once you reach it. So we'll see whether or not that gets exploited. There's also a great big pride rock that you can stand on top and roar like a lion, which we've seen some snipers again use very, very powerfully with a great overview of the entire map and land some solid shots. But you fall down and die on there, chances of reviving you become very, very low. So
let's not forget about the tower at the north side.
Yes, and that is the other final point. You can just see it there on the corner of the community team screen, that big recon tower, or not recon tower, but the big outpost tower at the top of the hillside, which you'd normally think becomes a death trap to sit up there and snipe out of and make noise in, but it provides great cover, and if that's the role you want to play for your team, drawing that attention, using that to bait the people's focus, you can really capitalize on it with a few well-placed allies nearby. So, and that seems to be what we have from our developer team at the moment, heading up onto that hillside, right up to the edge of the map, towards that outpost tower, right from the start. Our community drone, with the artillery in hand, is looking for them and does spot the first player, but is looking down into the compound for the rest of them. Doesn't seem to realize that he's actually already flying directly over their heads already. So he does use that artillery track on hold just to force him to move a bit further. Weaver is up at the outpost, but Nerf Blackbeard is right close by it with another sniper. Nomad is right on top of him. The shots are starting to rattle on through. Nomad and Blackbeard don't realize how close they are to each other. They are standing within meters of one another. Nerf Blackbeard literally 12 meters from it at that point as it came up, and they are swarming around this area. Blackbeard's got his pistol out, but it's going to fight against an LMG and lose. First blood does go over to Nomad and his rifle. Not even his LMG, but he'll quickly die down afterwards to Krebs's SMG, because there are so many players up here and around the tower. Now the can't suppress comes up on screen because it's a point man, and Holt has to turn and run as he's shot in the back and falls. 3 versus 2 in favor of our community squad. sorry, in favour of our developer squad, actually. Eroctic now is the last man standing as Krebser falls as well. 1 versus 3. Eroctic is a long way from his team. He was the only man not there on that outpost tower. And the developers are beginning to hunt. Midas quickly goes down for the heal and get his teammate back up, bringing them up to a 4 versus 1. And, well, how are you going to play this then, Eroctic? You've got all the time in the world, but not a lot of cover from your current position.
Tactical retreat.
Yeah, your teammates are all known. Midas is going to send his drone up and go looking for him, and he does get the spot off. The shot's coming down now, and he's being tagged from afar. Gets in and hides behind the building, but there's a player close, and he knows it. Pre-aims around the corners, looking for him. Sees this noise marker, but he's not there anymore. Grenades are coming in. He has to turn back away again. The drone is still tracking his position for his team. And as the push comes close from Holt, Eroctic wins that firefight. Does put himself in a 3v1. His health is slowly regenerating thanks to the adrenaline rush, but it's about to run out. And don't forget, once it's been used once by one player, no one else on the team can get it again. Quick revive onto Holt comes out from Nomad as they begin to continue their hunt, chasing Eroctic down, and more shots come in. He can't be suppressed, but he can be taken out as his health is very, very low. Inside the building he goes. He hasn't had a chance to reload his main gun from the sound of things, but he's being flanked from behind, and there it is. Round 1, once again, to the developer squad. You talked about that outpost tower on the top of the hill. You pointed out how big of a thing it is, and we just saw it. That was the entire round, really. It was 3v4 up on that hillside.
It's a fight to control that position.
Yeah.
It's a really important position because it controls a large part of the map.
And we saw how close players can get to one another without realizing it, literally standing on each other, standing very, very close to one another before the firefighting started. And as soon as those first few shots came out, everyone became very aware of their surroundings, and a lot of people died very, very quickly. Eroctic, however, went a slightly different route from the rest of his team, wasn't there to support them, couldn't really provide any fire support, and was left alone at the end. Once again, we're seeing the power of staying as a group from the developers, just close enough to be able to return fire and trade these kills back. So, switching back the other way now, as we do see slightly different loadouts from either squad, we are still looking at snipers from the developers. Weaver sticking tried and true to that. Scout and Enforcer and Tank, though, there to back it up. Meanwhile, the opposing team, Sniper, Artillery, Tank and Point Man. So a lot more frontline firepower for that red team this time over. Robo Mohawk and the community squad are pushing quickly into the compound, sending their tank and point man together towards the buildings. This is one of the few maps where the recon tower is actually not as exposed as it is on some of the ones we've seen previously today. So I've seen tanks just manage to sneak in there while 4 players are left alive on the other team and get a good recon tower usage off. But it's still a big risk. And in this situation, we've still got a community team split, 2 players and 2 players, and are very much in different positions on this map. 2 up towards the top side of the map, looking towards the recon tower. Eroctic and Robo Mohawk coming around behind it, looking to flank, and the first kill is Eroctic onto Holt. He gets up onto those rocks, shoots Holt in the back, but is quickly taken out again by Weaver, who as soon as he finds a bead on your position, lands and lines up his sniper rifle. Meanwhile, the scout drone was used to try and check what else was there, and it does find an artillery drone, an artillery player, and gives Holt the confirmation that he's safe to go on the revive. Back up to a 4v3 then, as Eroctic hasn't been revived by the community team. Devs picking up their speed, now getting in stride, as Robo Mohawk starting to pick up Eroctic. Artillery player from community squad is down within the team, down within the town now, but the devs have control of this outpost up top. They're keeping themselves quiet. Eroctic and Robo know that they are in a known position and are playing it very cautiously, trying to wait for an opportunity for the rest of their team to find a foothold and be able to back them up. But at least they are all alive at the moment. Drones coming out again from either squad as they're coming off cooldown, looking for other opportunities, looking for other spots to find their opponents. Shots coming out from the outpost tower does mean that artillery drone will die, but it did gain a little bit of information in the process. As we can see right now, 3 developers. I think it did. I'm not sure. No. It hasn't come down yet, but maybe not. Call come out from the community team that the nobody in the tower, but there are 3 developer players around the base of the tower. So they need to be cautious of that. Midas seems to be aware of where Eroctic is, and there it is. The recon tower is being activated by Robo Mohawk. Shots are going through, and he will continue to hold it on. The developer team, as I said, haven't got eyes on it from up there in the tower, and it will get activated. Now they see all 4 developers up here at the outpost, but the sniper shots are coming in from up on the hillside. Suppressed now comes up here on Weaver's screen as he just dodges that sniper round, but more shots coming up from below as the push comes in from Robo Mohawk and Krebser. They're pushing aggressively forward while the marks are still active, looking to get up as best they can, but the tank has activated his special ability and is now the only mark left alive. He, however, is being tracked by Krebs. The shots, however, will not land, and he cannot be finished off. Eroctic comes around behind. Krebs now dancing away from the grenades. Nomad is low. Weaver is dead, and Krebs will quickly follow him. Holt, however, sniped out from the top of the hill. Nerf Blackbeard getting that kill, so it's 2v3 now in favour of the community team. Robo Mohawk continues his push on up. Nomad is right on top of Weaver's body and does successfully get the revive down. Midas is still at a distance and will get his drone up to try and give this information over to his teams that are freshly revived. Nomad and Weaver know where Robo Mohawk is right now and are spraying him in this crossfire between themselves and Midas. Midas does land a little bit of damage, but is about to get flashbanged. Loses control for a moment. Enforcer and Artillery are down for either side. More flashbangs going out, so Recon Tower comes back up off cooldown, but there's no one near it this time to activate it. Robo Mohawk chasing Midas down towards his teammate Eroctic, and Eroctic is right up close. Very, very low health, but Midas will fall to the Desert Eagle of Eroctic as the last second switch comes in. He is now way away from the rest of his team, and chances of reviving Midas are very low.
Nighttime approaching as well.
Yeah, nighttime is approaching. Holt is down with severe wounds and on top of a mine. Weaver getting closer to it, but unsure as Nerf Blackbeard steps up and takes him down once again. Now it's just the tank left alive for our developer team. Nomad very close to Nerf Blackbeard, but surrounded by Robo Mohawk. The shots are coming through from Robo. He's not quite sure of where it is. Steps on up. Nomad is right next to him. He's going to go for the melee kill. Stands up out of the grass, picks it out, and makes it away alive. But they're now starting to swarm in all sides. The artillery is coming down on his previous spot. Nerf Blackbeard does still have eyes on him. It's continuing the mark with the artillery drones. Nomad trying to get shot from both angles, but Eroctic will secure the kill and round out the round one apiece. But got to give him points for style of that melee kill, like a snake in the grass.
Yeah.
So, third and final round to decide it all. Remember, our community were up 2 maps to 1 before this game began. The developer squad won the last map, looking to even it out 2 maps apiece here and save their pride just a little bit.
Also a good time to place your bets.
Yes, good time to place your bets. So, as they switch back the other way, we saw a first round where the outpost was heavily contested. Second round where the developers were just given the outpost, really, by the community team. But the community team used this to their advantage. They were, you're going to swarm that tower, you're going to take control of that area, we'll take control of the map, the compound in the middle, the buildings down there by the recon tower, and they got a recon tower use while all 4 players of the enemy team were alive.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job at pushing to that position. They initially tried to use a artillery drone to flush them out, but that failed, and then they used the recon tower. So that was really successful tactic.
But we also saw in return was a very powerful use of the tank. Yes, the recon tower was used, and 20-second mark on everyone in the team sounds horrible. Tank activated his special ability, took all those marks away, and just left them on himself. So he could then run around like a lunatic, draw the fire, soak it up, and not die too fast. So smart play from the developers there as well.
Yep.
Now though, they're back the other way around, and we see another different style from the devs. Instead of going up the high ground towards the outpost, they're all going down towards the low ground, onto the western side of the Rain Road and a different compounded building. Meanwhile, all of the community players are right up there on the outpost already, very, very quickly up on that high ground. So we'll see if the sniper play comes into it, because we have 4 recruits from our community squad. Now, as we said last time they did this, it was very sniper heavy, using DMRs, using long scoped weapons. But see if that is the same case this time around as their weapons become known. Robo Mohawk is still running himself an LMG on his recruit. Nerf Blackbeard definitely still running the sniper rifle though, as he is that sniper and has been all game long. But Eroctic is up in the top of the outpost with a drone in hand. Krebser using his drone as well at the moment to get a bit of information on where they may be. They are very confused right now as to where the developers are.
They are we're expecting them to just push for the high ground, but it looks like they're flanking really wide this time.
Yeah, they were scanning, you can see it, they're still scanning the area looking for that route from spawn, but it's not there. Starting to edge further down into the main town towards the recon tower, but still no eyes on them and can't figure out where they're coming from. Meanwhile, the developers are happily edging around the bottom edge of the map, creeping their way through, marking the community players on the hillside. They do now know they have control of the outpost, but that is, I'm pretty sure, what the devs were expecting. So Weaver has eyes on, will take a shot, misses out this time around. It's a bit optimistic, to be fair, at that angle, but he gave it a good shot. So now that the developers have been spotted out, the suppression is coming in from the shots on the high ground. You see the DMRs, but Weaver quickly turns it around, gets the first kill onto Eroctic in the top of that tower. Eroctic now in a poor spot for reviving, but Robo's going to go up and try and give him a go. If he can get up the stairs, he'll be okay. But here it is. Weaver is looking at the stairwell. Can he land the shot on a moving target up towards this outpost? No. So they know that there's two in the tower now, but they can't get the kill. Does try for it over the sandbags, but won't quite be enough. Meanwhile, Krebs TV and Nerf Blackbeard are pushing down towards the town itself, droning away, looking for these community developer players inside the compound, but won't find anyone yet. The revives do complete. Robo and Eroctic now both alive in the outpost up top, but the shots are raining in from all angles. See, Weaver has angle on it again, sees them coming down the staircase, he's looking for an opportunity, does pre-fire it, but not quite leading it right. And now it's time for Robo and Eroctic to rejoin. Actually, Eroctic's staying up in the tower. Robo, however, going to rejoin his other two teammates a little bit closer to the action. Nomad and Holt have made it across the road and are looking to get in the faces of these community players. That point man tank combination, as we talked about it before, is a very strong fighting force as a pairing. Once they have the information coming in from Weaver and now Midas' drone going up again, they should look to start opening up the fighting with one kill apiece. Blackbeard is on top of that rock that I was talking about earlier on. Great position for looking down over the town, but very, very exposed if you get killed there. There's chances of being revived when you're in that spot are very, very low. You can be watched from all angles, and if Weaver gets beat on your position from up there, you may not last much longer. So, Krebs are flanking deep within their spawn and out towards the road, has the drone there to support it.
Everybody took a deep breath and we're back to square one.
Slowed down a bit now. Shots rattling in, and there it is. Nomad takes Eroctic out of the tower again. He come down to try and join his team, but he's deep within the rocks. Holt sprinting up to push him. Nomad close by as well. Robo Mohawk is shooting and giving his position away, so they're going to try and make the most of that. Nerf Blackbeard steps up from where he is and starts firing into Nomad. The tank is down. Robo Mohawk credited with the kill. Switching it around now, we see Eroctic still pinned in a bad spot and will not be revived anytime soon. Krebser, though, has a strong position around one side. If he can just find an angle to try and flank some of these developers, he might be able to make a big impact on the round. Holt gone into hiding within the gasoline. Now, we saw this in the videos. He was just waiting on the body, and it's a free kill onto Robo Mohawk using the night vision to make sure of it. But that area is very explosive, so he gets very quickly out of the petrol station itself. Blackbeard still on the top of the rocks. Both of those bodies now in a no-go zone for the community players as Holt begins pushing up. Nerf Blackbeard starts shooting, so the noise and the markers tell Holt where he is. Holt's going to get around behind it. Krebser, however, is not there. He's going for another melee kill, regrets it, and just goes for the shoot instead. Nerf Blackbeard falls, and it's 3v1 in favor of the developers. Krebser is coming back now, realizing his position, while it could have been strong, isn't going to work out for him. He needs to get back to his team. The developers saw him around that spot, though, and are pushing in that direction. He may be able to get onto his team now because of it. Nerf Blackbeard's body has been left open and exposed, and the revive may be able to go through. 4 versus 1 as the developers get them able back up, and that revive will complete. Nerf Blackbeard ducked just far enough down from the rock to be in a safer spot, and it is back into 4v2. But just because he is no longer the last man alive doesn't mean Krebser loses his adrenaline rush. Getting shot in the face, however, will lose his adrenaline rush. So now it's on Nerf Blackbeard as the last man standing, but without the adrenaline rush, because he was not the first last man standing, to try and pick it up for his team. He's going to go for the revive on Krebser, but the recon tower gets used, and it doesn't matter as the victory comes through for the developers. 2 rounds to 1 on the last map. 2 rounds apiece for the final scoreline. And I'm sure they're grateful we had time to squeeze in that last map so they can even the scoreline out.
Good work.
Nicely done indeed. So that is Ghost War, ladies and gentlemen. That is your live gameplay reveal, your live gameplay tease. Don't forget, if you want to play that, September 21st to 25th, the open beta is open to everyone. And you can preload it right now on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and on Uplay. So, Lucian, that looked impressive. That looked great. We saw a lot of classes in action. We saw a lot of gameplay elements in action. Let's go through and talk about everything in there in depth, of what we've seen, what we may not have seen so well, starting with marking. How does the marking work? How do you mark a player? How do you get unmarked when you are marked? And what is the benefits of marking an opponent?
All right, so central to the Ghost War experience is the information, knowing where the enemy is. And to do that, you mark your enemy by just simply aiming at him or using binoculars and drone.
So you can just straight look at an opponent, not by scanning around the brain, you have to actively
you
aim
have
down
to
your sights and look
actively-
for it, or use your binoculars, or use a drone of some kind to keep an eye on it. Nice and simple. And how long does the mark last?
Well, it must marking lasts forever until you hide yourself. So as long as you mark an enemy and keep your eyes on him, or any of your teammates, that guy will be marked.
All right, so once you get marked, you have to break that line of sight to then go back into hiding. Nice and simple. Suppression next up. How does suppression work? The Enforcer we saw has a very strong ability that allows him to suppress people very quickly from a distance, keep them all pinned down. But when it comes to all the other classes, or the operators, how does suppression work for them?
Well, suppression works pretty much the same for everybody, except that for, like you said, the Enforcer does the job more effectively and basically nullifies your ability to aim down sights. Well, for all the other classes is as simple as putting more bullets around the target to be effective.
When you are suppressed, what does it feel like? What is it like as the player with those shots raining over your head, as that suppressed player? When you're in that situation, how do you react? What do you do to counter against it?
Well, if you're suppressed, your best bet is to stay hidden and not try to return fire, because you're not going to be as effective.
All right, so your vision gets a little bit blurred, the scope gets a bit wavy, and you're not going to be able to return fire so well. Moving on to that, ammo and health. If you do get shot, if you're having lots of firefights, we talked about the ammo and health bets around the map. Where do they come into play? That is how you heal back up, obviously, if you've not got the regeneration. But is ammo a big factor? We didn't really see too many people restocking in these games. Is that something you saw from the closed beta? Do people have to reload a lot?
No, actually, it's health and ammo. It's a bit of a comfort objective in itself, because the game is quite deadly, as you saw. But there might be some instances where you are okay or safe enough to go and restock.
So we don't need to talk too much about reviving. We saw that a lot. It is becoming a mini objective within the game, and we saw traps being set around dead bodies. We saw mines being set on dead bodies. We saw players just sitting there and watching them. And we saw how the game evolved completely as people started to die. We also looked at snipers and having those severe wounds, which is also inflicted, I believe, by melee kills, right? Severe wounds, which increases the revive time that it takes to get your teammates back up. So thinking about when you revive and who to revive is a very important part of the game as well. Then we have the last man standing buff, the adrenaline rush, which again we talked about at the end. You become immune to suppression. Immune to suppression of flashbangs. You don't have a stamina penalty when you start sprinting anymore, so you can run for a lot longer, and you can revive teammates a damn sight faster too. So it helps you get back into that spot where you need to put your team back alive. Distancing, but we are now being informed that we can't have a draw between developers and community members. We can't leave this at 2-2. So we're going to play a fifth and final round on Deforestation to find out who is our grand champion.
It is going to get messy.
Yes, as we head in to a final map on Deforestation, we'll do one last quick talk about the recon tower, as it is another big thing in the middle of the map. We talked about it's an 8-second channel time.
Yep.
And it marks everyone on the enemy team for 20 seconds. But you don't have to go near it.
No.
No, it can be to a comfort thing.
It's just our way to end the game. So it's really important, because if you're the last man standing, you're instinctively you go hide. And it's really frustrating for the winning team to look for that guy until the end of the round. So it's when you have the upper hand, you just you will go and use the recon tower and fight that guy.
All right, so let's start this final game then and see who comes out on top. The developers are on the verge of an epic comeback right now, as they started down 2 rounds, brought it back to 2-2 now, and are forcing this final deciding map out of us. But the community team have learned from their mistake, or might have learned from their mistakes. They did have a strong start. We'll see whether or not they can turn it back and end this 2-map losing streak to their advantage, get back in on here. Now, of course, Deforestation was our first map of the day. It'll look familiar to some of you if you were here from the start, but it is something that the community team also won. So, with their initial start positions, we do have our developer squad starting, I believe that is down, up on the high ground, in fact, so they have that big hillside to play with if they so wish, or getting down in towards the compound quickly into those initial buildings. Meanwhile, our community team down on the lower ground have a lot more foliage, a bit more undulating ground, and as we've seen them use, down towards the main road and that southern edge to flank. So The class selection is Scout, Point Man, Sniper and Tank for our community team, and for our developer team, Sniper, Scout, Tank and Point Man as well. So they're identical lineups from both of these squads to get the ball rolling. Eroctic and Nerf Blackbeard once again sticking as a tight-knit pairing here on Deforestation. That's how they won the first time they were here, getting Blackbeard into a good position, picking up 2 quick kills with his sniper rifle, and then Eroctic there to punish the developers that pushed in to try and kill him. So that picked them up a quick early win, but the developers have learned since then. They're playing a much more close-knit game. They're playing a much more tighter squad group, and as a result, chances of those trade kills happening in their favour are much higher. Weaver dropping down a mine with the help of his artillery, of his teammate to cover him rather, then falls back. They were already and aware of a potential push coming down that side and then backing away. Meanwhile, their teammates, Midas and their tank support, were holding the other flank, ready for them to come back away. Journeying up the big hillside to make sure it's clear and waiting for them. And now we play an information game. Both teams have got into the early positions they wanted. Now they need to find out where their opponents are. Noise markers coming up, that yellow blip from Nomad as the tank starts to fire down onto the drone. Didn't necessarily need to do that. He hadn't been marked, it hadn't seen him, and he does just give his position away by shooting it down. So a potential mistake there from the developers. Meanwhile, Eroctic, Blackbeard and Robo Mohawk are very close by to where that tank revealed his position to be. Kripsa, however, is once again the lone community player in the compound on the Scout, very close to the recon tower. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but my memory says from the closed beta there was a special perk on some of the classes which allowed fast fingers. Does that affect the recon tower?
It does, yes.
So there is a possibility here that Krebser is sitting next to that recon tower with fast fingers,
I
looking for an opportunity to rush out a recon use. Quick hands. Yeah. There it is. And it may well be the case. That is, in fact, what he's doing indeed. Quick hands are being used, and that recon tower goes up very rapidly, and now all the developers are revealed. So, with everyone on that left flank now, the community team are pushing for it, but an instant, I believe, activation from the tank pulled those marks away. Eroctic did get eyes on Nomad because of that tank mark and is putting some shots down onto him, but they won't land. Nomad has now lost the mark because he lost his sight line and has managed to vanish. So a nice idea from the community team using that quick hand strategy, but this time around it was just shrugged off by the developers. They need to make sure the tank has used its ability before they activate it again. And well, now that they've done it once, I don't imagine the developers are going to give them a chance to activate and use that tower anytime soon. They're going to keep their eyes on it.
The strategy wasn't that effective, but at least they have a snapshot of their positions.
Yeah, they got a brief idea of roughly where they are, and they can begin to push up safer on that southern edge. Meanwhile, we do see, saw rather Krebs running around the central compound, just popping the explosive barrels as he goes. While he knows he's safe, he knows where the developer team roughly is, he can gather control of that area, take the barrels out, make sure none of them catch him by surprise, make sure that truly is his place to be while he's there. Now the recon tower has come back up, but I do believe the tank ability for the developers is also back in play, so they can't rush to take control of it again if they want it to really last. As they do send Krebser back towards the recon tower, this game has really become a slower paced grind fest as neither team wants to go out on the losing foot. Now the recon tower goes through, does activate up, we immediately see them all marked. But again, tank active straight away used, and while he does get suppressed straight afterwards, Nomad takes the marks away and then goes into hiding, and the marks completely vanish. So the devs have definitely caught on to the plan, don't nearly seem to want to stop him using the recon tower. They are just happy to divert the intel away every time it happens. They are also staying very close up. And there we go, Eroctic firing in towards the tree line. Robo Mohawk taking a bit of damage. The drone coming out from the developer Scout, looking towards their position, and does get a mark down onto the enemy tank. He falls back a little way. Holt has been marked by the Scout here from the community team, but he is not in the sight line of any of the community players to shoot it. Meanwhile, more and more information is being made, making its way into the eyes of each team, but still no one in a position to really make use of the information they're getting. Eroctic and Robo falling back slightly. Nerf Blackbeard now the most aggressive position for all of the community team as the recon tower comes back up again. But even in his slightly aggressive position here, he has no clear sight line to the dev team. Eruptic finds that mine that was placed early in the round and does shoot it out of action as the recon tower goes through again from Krebser. This is smart play from the community team. If you're going to play so passive as the devs are, and to be fair as the community team are for now, make use of that recon tower. Force some movement, force them to show themselves, or you're just going to keep
they're putting pressure
that out. Yeah. So as the devs edge closer and closer to the edge of the map, slowly around that hillside, the clock ticks away. Remember, if everyone is left, or if anyone on either team is left alive as the clock hits 0, it is a straight draw on a replay, and we are now down to the final 2 minutes. I do feel like this round may end up in a draw, I've got to admit.
Possibly.
Neither team wants to make that first move, make that first peek out. As the scout drones fly up again, looking for more opportunities. Nomad ducks away from those shots again as he loses the mark after drawing the attention. Midas is drone down on the south side. We do get calls that community players have spotted some players. The tank right there in the compound will fall. There it is. First kill for Eruptic. Takes out the enemy point man. Tank is also, however, very low at this point as they start to find cracks in their armor. Minute 15 to go. Something we saw the developer team do early on in the practice games was as soon as a teammate fell, rush for the revive. That then quickly ended up in a snowball effect of them losing player after player. They are no longer doing that. So yes, they just lost a man in Holt, but the rest of them are holding their positions firm. But Nomad now will fall as they're closing in. Weaver quickly falls afterwards and leaves Midas now the last man. Tank has fallen for the community team, but they are now looking for one more. The scout will go with his increased revive speed to get Nomad back on his feet, and it's 2v3 again, but with 45 seconds to go. They are both spotted and marked by this scout drone. Their marks will pursue as they continue to get pushed on now from the community squad. More shots rattling in. The suppression comes on through onto the tank. He's not got a lot of health. The Desert Eagle comes out. They're just spraying towards the marks, but he is in cover. Midas now marked by Nerf Blackbeard as well, 25 seconds to go. They are just trying to survive as best they can, but they're being hunted from all angles. The last man standing buff wears out as he does also die. 3v1 again now, leaving the tank alive, who doesn't have a lot of health. They're swarming in from all angles with only 15 seconds to go. He's trying to hide in a bush as best he can and force out the draw. 10 seconds to go. He has got divert intel, but they don't want the attention on him this time. They're all trying to find him, hunting every bush they can. They don't have a scout drone called down to detect his movement. They are right on top of him, but they don't know about it. And the draw will be fought for by that last lone man hiding in a bush. Midas was completely swarmed by players, but had great cover, had great camouflage, and they couldn't find him when it counted.
Great play.
Smart play indeed. So yeah, you saw that timer ticking down to the 8 minutes. We saw the community team using that recon tower to force pressure, to force movement out. Every time it went up, they got a step closer, they forced them to move again. They got a step closer and they forced them to move again. And even as you said, the tank pulled them intel away, pulled that mark off of them. That gave them a snapshot of where they might be, and they could then use their scout drone to track the movement and follow them through the trees. So they got there right on the button. Couldn't quite get the last kill. So as we head into a fresh replay of round 1, we are now looking for a chance to again stretch that lead out and finally make a mark, getting ahead.
We're going to be here a while.
We could very well be here a while if they keep this up. So let's see how they started out. This time around, of course, though, they do swap start positions. So Blackbeard, Eruptic, Robo Mohawk and Krebser starting on the slightly higher ground towards the compound. Do begin by once again actually heading down towards the road, but this time from the lower ground position. Nomad starts spraying straight on towards the scout drone again early on, not necessarily too worried about giving his position away from this early opportunity because there's still a lot of ground to cover and a lot of route to take before he's in the position he really wants to be at. Does shoot the drone down. Now the rest of his team begin to move, step up, and they do dart back the way they came now that that potential route has been compromised. Meanwhile, though, they are getting very, very close to Robo Mohawk, I believe. Or Eruptic's going deep up to the top side of the map. He's going well up into the corner on the highest point of the northern edge of this hillside. So he's going to be heavily alone when up there. But we'll see if he continues to push around to flank or if he's going to try and play the high ground position for the rest of the game. Krebser once again taking out explosive barrels so they can't surprise him later on. Nerf Blackbeard, Robo Mohawk playing a more static position at some of the logs around the compound in the middle of the map, just looking for opportunities, looking for movement from the developers. Midas's drone is up towards the hillside now, and it may very well be spotting the position of Eruptic, but his teammates down in the compound open fire on the drone, draw its attention and give their position away so it doesn't spot that point man up in the hills. Eroctic now, knowing that the drone is safe, will continue his route down the side of the map. This time though much more slower, much more cautiously, looking for his opportunity to make it count. Nomad gets marked just down the hill. Now he gets a bit of information about where they may be. Holt also marked down the hillside and he begins to move a bit more freely. Midas and Weaver close by, but Weaver has been marked as well. And Eroctic is feeling good about this push. Nerf Blackbeard, Robo and Mohawk moving out of the compound and towards the positions they now know the devs to be in. As Weaver starts to try and shoot down the drone now that he's already been marked, but changes his mind back to looking for players as he realizes they might be getting close. Holt is now right on the other side of this log pile to Robo Mohawk. Neither player, I think, knows the other is exactly there yet. Nomad is flanking around behind Robo Mohawk though, so maybe have to step up here and get the first kill onto the other tank, but Robo gets behind cover at the last second. Weaver now very, very close to Eroctic's point man as well. Robo Mohawk does realise, or doesn't realise, that this man is so close. All he's going to do is take a step out from just a moment. There it is, the Enforcer onto tank, and it will be a quick kill for the developers to open us up here. Robo Mohawk down and away from the rest of his team. Holt getting credit with that kill. Nerf Blackbeard though, up on a side angle, now has information on that position and might be able to make it work. Eroctic very close to Weaver, but neither of them have a bead on the other's position just yet. Eroctic actually moving past Weaver. He knows there's somewhere nearby. He can tell and is telling his team that he was close, but doesn't know exactly where. Now exposed his own backside to it. More marks coming in from the drones. Suppression on the scout coming in from Eroctic. He is being flanked now because of it. He's now pushing aggressively onto Holt. Does find him and take him down, making it a 3v3. Gets up on towards the rock position, waiting for the flank to come behind him. Sees him in the trees. Loses him in the bushes, but gets sniped down by Weaver, who was for that whole time, of course, behind him. Nerf Blackbeard now seeing his teammates fall in amongst that tree line. Doesn't have a great idea, but Krebser, after getting off his drone, uses the recon tower and those quick hands to get it triggered. Nomad though quickly uses his ability and pulls the marks onto himself while they go for the revive, bringing it 4v2. Mine placed by Weaver, using that as an opportunity to bait them into the bodies, as now the scout sniper combo, not the biggest on firepower, have to fight their way into the tree line, into all four developers to try and get their team back on their feet. Nerf Blackbeard is up on the hillside, does see one and does start to shoot towards him as he runs straight into his teammate, but Nomad melee punches Krebser down to put that sniper as the last man standing, and Nomad is making his way straight over to the recon tower now that they are 3v1. Krebser literally headbutted by Nomad as he sprinted across that side of the map. All three teammates that Blackbeard has left are down with severe wounds, so even with his increased revive speed from the adrenaline rush, it's not going to be an easy task to get them back on their feet. The recon tower will reactivate in a couple of seconds. There it is, back on up, and there are two players from the developer squad close by to it. The tank will begin accessing it, 8-second channel, but Blackbeard is miles away and has no chance of activating it. Puts a mine down and will now be swarmed by devs as they make their way towards that marker. He can't lose it, of course. There's no tank to take it away from him. His plan right now is literally to stay alive for the rest of the round and force out another draw. But we are still over 2 minutes away, so that's a long time to wait. And they are closing in his position already. The shots are landing. He's starting to take a bit of damage now. The suppression is coming through. The tank is pushing up close to him, and he has a lot of firepower. Sees the movement. The suppression is in. The Enforcer is firing from another angle to keep him pinned. Right on top of him now. Nomad is there. Easy kill from behind, and developers take the lead. 1 round to 0 on our decider map. So, can they close it out 2-0, or will this be our chance for our players, our community players, to swing it back? They do have a chance, but it's a long way to go, long ask to go with. As we are prepping it up, we do have a couple of other points from our features to talk about that we didn't get to before. What is the character smith and the weapon loader? You talked briefly that we will have customization and that we will have control over what our characters look like here in the PvP, like you do in the single player. But exactly how much customization are we going to get?
So for the open beta, we allow only cosmetic customization to the character and to the weapons themselves. So you can whatever you have access to in the main game, you will have access to in the PvP open beta. So you can put a ghillie suit on your tank if you so wish.
All right, interesting to know. That is actually also a note at the end of our gameplay preview because of the slight delay in the draw and the pushing it back. That one victory is all they needed, and our devs are victors here then, coming out on top there at the last minute with a straight comeback, technically, 3 maps in a row. Final marker, they're looking very pleased with themselves over there. We'll see them a little bit later on. Final thing then to talk about the features, the sound markers. We saw them used very well in their last couple of rounds there on Deforestation because of the foliage, because of the shots, those little yellow blips. Talk to me about those. What is the sound marker?
Well, like in reality, when you shoot a weapon, you create a lot of noise, and essentially you tell everyone that you're there. It's no mistake about it. You're going to be around the position where you hear the noise, but the sound marker is not pinpoint accurate. It's going to present information around your exact position.
All right, so it's a nearby thing.
It's a nearby thing.
That's good. All right, so there is our breakdown of features, and just in case you missed any of it or weren't sure, we're going to run a short trailer that runs down all of the things we just talked about and give you a good insight on those features. But first of all, Lucian, thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for giving all this insight, for helping out with everything we've done here on the stage. That is the last we're going to see from you this afternoon, so thank you again. And you guys enjoy this trailer. We'll be back in just a moment with the last little snippet of information.
With Ghost War, the PvP mode for Ghost Recon Wildlands, we want you to live the ultimate co-op experience in a 4v4 team deathmatch, focusing on teamwork, strategy, and tense tactical engagements. Hi, my name's Seb and I'm the Associate Dev Test Lead on Ghost Recon Wildlands Ghost War. As a reminder, Ghost War will be released as a free update for all Wildland owners. In Ghost War, you win by eliminating the entire enemy team. Team play is at the heart of the mode, and both communication and strategic skills will be required to best your opponents. You can decide to move together, split up and flank your enemy, or try to sneak behind them to attack from the shadows. You need to figure out which strategy works best for each situation. But no matter the odds, remember, individually you can be great, but together you'll be unbeatable. In the battlefield, you will need to be flexible and adapt your playstyle to your surroundings. You fight across beautiful landscapes of Bolivia and some iconic locations from Ghost Recon Wildlands. Through open and closed environments, dense and desertic settings, every map will present a new set of challenges, which will test your ability to adapt your strategy and survive. Time of day and weather will also influence the way you play. For example, a dark rainy night will help you hide and be harder to spot, but will also decrease your visibility. Taking all those elements into account will help you turn disadvantages into opportunities. Each battle you fight will be different thanks to the 12 different classes available at launch in Ghost War. It's up to you to master their unique abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. For example, the Assault class excels at middle or close range combat. Long range fighters will want to pick one of the marksmen, while the support classes, all equipped with their own drones, can take the responsibility of assisting and guiding their teammates. Which combination of abilities will be the right counter to the enemy team? Do you attract your enemies on one side with a tank while going around their backs with the assassin? Or do you rely on the sniper on the outskirts of the map, made undetectable thanks to the tech drone jammer? We cannot wait to see the strategies and tactics you'll come up with in Ghost War. While all classes come with a preset look, you'll also be able to fully customize them to your liking or even recreate your ghost from your main game. Now, let's take a closer look at the 6 new key features of Ghost War. Hunting down your enemies and finding where they hide without being seen yourself is at the heart of Ghost War. That's where our first feature comes in, marking. In Ghost War, you're able to mark enemy players in order to share their position with your teammates. Classes equipped with drones, such as the Scout or the Artillery, will force the enemy team to adapt their plans. While marking will be easier with a drone, all classes can also use their binoculars as well as their scope or crosshairs to spot enemies. When you are marked, the entire enemy team will know where you are. However, as soon as you get out of sight, your mark will fade and eventually disappear. A marked opponent will be notified when he's being marked. With that in mind, you can also decide to not directly aim at your enemy to make them believe that they have not been detected yet. Some class abilities and perks can affect elements of marking, like reducing the amount of time the mark lasts, or notifying you faster if you are marked by an opponent. A recon antenna is present on every map and will allow you to locate and mark the entire enemy team if you manage to hack it. While being a powerful tool, the recon antenna is very exposed, and the enemy team will be notified as soon as the hacking begins. Marking enemies is a key element of Ghost War, but it's not the only feature that allows you to locate your opponents. Another new feature is the sound marker. When firing a shot, the enemy team will receive an indication of the approximate location for which a shot was fired. With this in mind, you have to think twice before firing your weapon. No matter how good the shot, revealing your position or staying hidden needs to be part of your strategy. You can also try to bait your enemy to another location. For example, by using the noisemaker drone of the Diversionist class. Every choice you make in Ghost War will have a consequence, and it will be up to you to decide which move is the right one. The suppression feature will make fighting while under fire extremely challenging. When suppressed, your sight will be greatly diminished. Suppression can be used in several ways. You can suppress enemies to make them retreat, or prevent them from moving. You can also suppress them to prevent them from shooting at your squad mates. Or, you can blind them from a distance, to allow one of your teammates to sneak under their sight. In Ghost War, your health does not regenerate. After an intense firefight, you might find yourself low on ammo and health. Located in various parts of the map, the health and ammunition crates will allow you to restock on ammo and health. However, you need to remain careful, as their position can be tricky or exposed. Sometimes, you will not be able to reach a crate in time and will fall down on the battlefield. Don't worry, your teammates can come and revive you. When you're down in Ghost War, you're not out of the game, as you can spectate your teammates by monitoring their surroundings. Down players become dynamic objectives. Guard or booby trap them to eliminate unsuspecting enemies. At the end of the game, you can be the last member of your team alive. Yet the fight is not over. To even the odds, you'll receive an adrenaline rush that will temporarily increase your stats. During this time, you cannot be suppressed, your health regenerates, and your stamina never depletes. You will also be able to revive your teammates faster, and maybe be able to see it through to victory. We are extremely excited to see what strategies and tactics you'll use to prevail in this intense and tactical PvP mode.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. That is Ghost War. You've got a full live gameplay preview, you've got a features rundown there in that last video, and it is looking fantastic. We also are proud to announce and happy to announce that there is going to be full post-launch support for the PvP mode of Ghost War. There's going to be more classes, more maps, lots more customization, and all kinds of gameplay, especially new game modes coming for that. So that's not the only one you're going to get to play. I do have our unfortunate second place team here now with me on stage. First of all, thank you all for taking part and thank you all for playing. But Blackbeard, we're going to talk to you a little bit because you and Weaver had a lot of rivalry back and forth with those sniper duels. So tell me, what were your favourite moments in the game? What were your favourite maps, perhaps? Because Quarry was a very intense one for you two.
Yeah, I think Quarry was like fun for sniper duels because it was like really close range, but I actually preferred the force maps. You can really sneak up on them. Like sometimes you'd sit in the bush next to them, nobody knows.
Yeah, we saw that a couple of times.
Moves. It's a lot of fun, yeah. Really enjoyed it.
Fun. Robo, I want to talk a little bit. You played more of the tanks, as you said, and the tank we saw very well used by the developer team in that last game, pulling the marks after you used the recon tower so many times. How do you feel that the tank and the enforcer you guys played really going to affect the metagame as the game evolves?
I think the tank really suits their style well of staying there because they don't go for the recon tower, and if we go for the recon tower, they immediately get it off there and they reposition, so we don't know where they are. And the Enforcer's suppression is very, very strong. You cannot aim down sight. You can barely even see.
Yeah, very, very strong indeed. So, first of all, I first have to congratulate the community team for getting here. You, as I said, were some of the best players in the closed beta. You're taking yourselves home a collector's edition of Ghost Recon itself, as well as all those 511 goodies around there. We also have some very specialized, personalized dog tags for the four of you to come to time. So, first of all, Eroctic, these ones are for you. Second of all, we go through to Robo Mohawk, third and fourth. Blackbeard, taking the fourth one. These have been in my pocket all day, nicely there. And finally, Krebs TV, congratulations to you as they come on out with your personalized dog tags. Thank you guys very much for being here. Finally, thank you. Finally, thank you to everyone that's joined and watched at home. Once again, of course, thank you to our three streamers that took part in the pre-show. Thank you to the Newcastle and Montreal teams for putting that together. And we are not quite done yet. You might need to refresh your streams because we're going to fresh on over to North Carolina, where UB Amper is going to show our community hangout and, of course, announce the winner to our raffle. So if you had entered in that backpack raffle, want a chance to win that, don't forget to tune in and stick around for that. Finally, that is it from us here at Paris. Thank you to all the team behind the scenes that helped put this on. Thank you guys for viewing it and have a great night.
Superior tactics, Perfect coordination. This is what made you a ghost. Now, others believe they can take you down. It's time to prove them wrong.